Yes. 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 Yep. Uh mm, yeah. So welcome to another session here on the Chaos Rain Show. I'm Chaos Rain here. This is somewhat of a, I can't say a special broadcast. Well, you could consider it a special. It's special to me and dear in my heart. But well, my thing is this. Well, before I go into this, make sure to follow me on the social media links in the following. You can follow me at Twitter at ChaosRain7. Add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Green on Facebook. And join the, oh, actually, my fault. And also follow me on Rumble too. Also. And one thing with Rumble, I haven't really double checked it. I have not put much content on there. I'll probably throw some uploads in, but I really want the fans, the people that were following me here on YouTube, to follow me on Rumble. I want to really go really raw, while Rumble is still, I guess, still allowing it with certain things, because how I look at the climate, a lot of things. You think censorship is bad? You have not seen nothing really yet. Um, Personally, I think why the censorship has to come around now, because it could be maybe during the election cycle, maybe, or could be maybe other factors that might play why we might be having more people's voices being suppressed. Rather, if they're using what the word, not too much of a bad words, instead using more tailor words, and more words that are more PG friendly. At the end of the day, there gonna be some suppression of certain voices, and personally, you're going to have to be prepared for that. I heard with Rumble that it's more what they call left wing or right wing. I don't know. They give these things so many labels. I lose track nowadays, and I'm not a political person, but I do keep up a breath of things political wise. But overall, that platform right now, as it stands, is pretty good for more of the more in-depth conversations, because it's not really supported by the whole advertisers yet, but it's coming. It's coming. So as y'all guys come in, please follow the stream, hit the like button, and also share the stream as well. Um, and another thing I do forgot. Also, join my Discord servers. Also, I have a Discord. Some things are being put up on there as we speak. Few content I talk about, and I'll talk about a lot of things on Discord. But you gotta join Discord to really know what really is going on here. So those are all the social media links. And right now, I'm just going through certain things now. And I'm just looking at some things. Yeah. Yeah. I noticed a lot of people still getting caught up of that chick from Chicago and her son. That you know, I could say put a man 6 feet under. And if y'all notice, I did not really did no content specifically on that. I kind of took a step back because I want to know all the more of the details and what is the real uh end game, for lack of better words. Because what she did, it is a form of self-defense, But the problem is, once you start, you as a woman that's not taking yourself to really engage in the capital punishment, I look at you side eye that you put your own child at risk, in my opinion, and that's a no. Now, if it was her that did it, I would not really be honest, have nothing against that. But when I really found out what really went in, and we're never gonna know the real in-depth stories, what really went down, because they got the actual videotape and the evidence that was really going on that day. So, like anything, I like to sit back and see the real outcome of things. And I see a lot of women on social media that's single really listen to a woman that does not really have no tangibles and is not even living behind her means, or living below her means. Anyway, like I said, people like listening to comfort message. Anywho, how are we gonna do this? I'm thinking. Let me find the articles to really tailor today's conversation. Let's see. I'm trying to look for one. Okay, I found it. So we're going to start with this article here. And this is the news. And when this came out 2 days ago or 3 days ago. This hit on Friday, actually. Yeah. All right. So this one, I'm going to share my stream. And wait. One other thing before I share my stream, I got to do this. 1 second, guys. Sit back. All right, I'm back, guys. I was just trying to find the link because okay. All right, it's refreshed now. I don't know if you guys could hear that. I'm just going through some things right now. Okay, so I found the things. Let me switch one more time, and we shall begin. I will look at the chat room periodically, but there's no guarantee I'm going to keep an eye on what's going on in chat because, like I said, this is one of these conversations that's not really favorable, personally, because a lot of people don't want to have the conversation about education is entirely. One thing as I'm looking at this, I'm going to look at the natural student loan debt right now as it stands here in America to get more of context. So, okay. All right, perfect. All right, so let's look into this, and we'll go down the line, read this, and then we're gonna move forward. So as I find it, as I share screen, here we go. And as you could tell, let me make sure myself is looking. Yeah, y'all can't see it. All right, perfect. So as you could tell right here, this was the latest. Like I said, this was 2 days ago or 3 days ago. Supreme Court strikes down Biden's student loan relief plan and limits the LGBTQ rights. Now, this was something new to me. They're limiting the rights. I'm not sure why they're limiting the rights. We're going to read more into detail why that is. Okay. Biden moves quickly in efforts to reassure young voters on student loans. You cannot reassure young voters because Supreme Court makes the final say so what really goes down. If you put a bill in place and they don't feel it's adequate for the nation, the state, especially when it comes to education, they will not go forward with it at all. They will strike it down in a quick beat. Because you guys got to understand, this country is a capitalist system. And the bottom line is, how can I continue to make money and parasite over your butt? Meaning, I'm going to take as much out of you while I keep all the money and never distribute it back. And if I do have to distribute it back, it's going to be within other nations so I can continue my chaos. Okay, let's look here. Let's keep looking. The White House could risk looking flat-footed. After the Supreme Court scrappled Biden's plan to ease the student debt burden, he moved quickly Friday to reassure core Democratic voters that he'll find a way to make good on a signature campaign promise. Now, mind you, there's going to be an election for presidency next year in 2024. We don't know who the candidates are running for this upcoming election. I'll tell you one thing: if it's not to the standard, to the American people, which they're going to maybe possibly make it a reality, it looks like Biden might do another term. Which, most presidents nowadays for the last 30 or more years, well, actually, my fault, for the last 28 years, most presidents did 2 terms. I cannot name a last president, from my opinion, did only 1 term. Can you? And mind you, once you go beyond a generation, and every president, whether Democrat or Republican, has been putting in, on the average, 8 years. It tells you that majority of your presidents, no matter what affiliate they are in any party they are, or what left or right hand they take, they are bound, in my opinion, this is just me, don't take my word for it, to do the full 8 years in office. Now, if anybody want to question or give me rebuttal, please leave it in the comment section. But I am convinced that there's no president in the last generation, almost pushing 3 decades, back in 2020, does or only does 1 term. Now, I'm not going to get into the detail of the one Donald Trump, because I'm not a fan of a lot of these presidents, or a lot of these guys that said they fall onto one-sided thing. All I know is I look at the end result and what is the real intentions. And the real intentions is this: that majority of your elected presidents, rather you put money on it, they're always going to be controlled by the people that really run the top. And it's not no secret either. There's too many books that cover this. Too many. About how the government works, how politics works, and how things work behind closed doors. Because if you really want to know the real truth, they really do put it and hide it in a book. Now, a lot of people don't want to hear this. A lot of people are going to get mad at me about this. But I'm just telling you the honest truth. And the more you come clear to this reality, the better off you will understand how the world really works. The world is a wicked place, and it's run by evil people, dictators, etc., etc. So that is one thing. If you don't learn, you learn this now. Let me see. I'm just looking for something right now, guys, before I continue. And I should highlight this. So I apologize. I should have highlighted this. Well, I'm not going to highlight. All right, so let's continue, guys. Within minutes of the court's 6-3 ruling, The White House released a statement saying that Biden is not done fighting yet and had prepared for this scenario. After learning about the ruling from top advisors, Biden met privately with them to consider next steps. White House officials said later in the afternoon he rolled out new plans that the White House said would ensure financial vulnerability borrowers who miss payments through the end of September of 2024 are not considered delinquent. He also announced new repayment options that would be made available to borrowers. And there's detail of this. Let me click on it and see what they're talking about. I'm going to just look through this quickly. I probably will read this for y'all because, hold on, I might as well, because you need to know. And the reason why I say you need to know is because there are a lot of Americans that's in student loan debts right now as we speak. And I don't have a lot of high hopes for a lot of elected presidents. Yes. Oh, I see you, Senator Board. What's good? Okay, what's good? What's good? Yes, you're right. And you know what I'm gonna do? If y'all guys want to chime in, yes. Matter of fact, I'm gonna drop the link. You don't have to come up, Tony, but I'll put it in anyway. That's optional. I just saw your comment. Because I'm right now, I'm going through this for myself, you know, slowly. I knew they were never gonna pass this, bro, because it was really an executive order back in 2009 where they said you can no longer default on student loan debt, and that was done directly by the banks. Because you think any person that was in office before, no, actually, Obama was in office when this was gone through, because he got elected as president in 2008, and eventually the next year with the banks and stuff, they made a deal and they said they're not going to default. Yes. All right. So I'm gonna bring Tony up. Tony, you there? Hello. You there, Tony? Well, when you're ready, you can speak. Yeah, they were not going to allow this. I knew this ahead of time. And because I was aware of this back 13 years ago, because I remember watching a documentary of college and student loan debt. And I cannot find that documentary on YouTube. I don't know if sure I should have wrote it down years ago, but I didn't do that. Now I regret, because now when people don't understand the history of student loan and history of college, they will have a more understand how to really move if you go and decide to go to college here in America. But that's not a story. But go ahead. The floor is yours, Tony Maceo.
Very shortly. I won't be long. I'll try not to be long anyway. This was never going to pass, man. The banks, Wells Fargo, Chase, they were simply not going to allow that debt to go unpaid. That was never going to happen. The banks exercised tremendous influence on Capitol Hill. They exercised tremendous influence in American society. That was never going to pass. But what it does provide is a campaign issue for 2024. Yep. It does allow, it's a rallying cry to push Black people back towards the Democratic ticket in 2024, especially now that there's a challenge from the middle by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So, I mean, that was never going to, it gives them an issue to run on in order to scare people into voting for the Democratic Party. Now, having said that, that does not mean I'm a Republican, because I'm not.
I'm not Republican either.
Yep, I'm a centrist. I'm a moderate. I'm an independent. I'm a person that's in the middle. I'm not a Democrat or Republican, but on its face, there was no way this was going to. There's no way this was going to pass. Now, the alternative, I could see that being the measure, which being, and I don't even know if this is still if this is still active, is where under Barack Obama's administration, they said, well, you could work for the government for 10 years. and then you would basically have that student loan debt forgiven. But you would have to work for a government administration or a nonprofit, and they would, grant forgiveness of that debt. I thought that was quite possible or practical, but there was no way that this was going to happen. There was no way that something like this, especially when you look at the makeup of the makeup of the court is seriously, I wouldn't call it conservative, I would call it pro-business. People
Mhm.
would like to label it conservative, but it's really a pro-business and a corporate Supreme Court bench, of course, with the exception of Ketanji Brown and Sonia Sotomayor and maybe a couple of others.
Yeah.
John Roberts and the rest of them are pro-business activists.
Yep.
They are pro-business judiciaries, and this is something that gives people. Uh, it gives them. It's good copy for television. It's good copy for podcasts. It's good copy for pundits. It gives them something to argue over. But I mean, you don't have to be uh, a jurist. You don't have to be a an attorney, or you don't have to be a legal analyst to see that there was no way this was going to pass. There was absolutely no way, because keep in mind, you also have to sign consent to that debt when you
Yep.
accept those loans when you're in college. I know uh, I have 2 degrees and working on a third one, but there was
Okay.
no way you were going to get out of that. That's just common sense tells us
Mhm.
that the banks were not going to let trillions of dollars, billions, if not trillions of dollars, just be unilaterally forgiven.
Mhm.
Now, what they are doing inside of many of these corporations, like where Black women work, and this is an added recruiting feature um, for corporations in terms of bringing in Black women and the so-called
Okay.
inclusion and diversity angle, is a type of corporate loan forgiveness, whereas a portion of a Black woman's corporate salary can be applied toward whatever their student loan debt is, or some
Okay.
type of corporate forgiveness program. Because, of course, these corporations, they do business with the banks, they borrow money from the banks, they
Yes.
work directly with the banks. So that was practical, and that is what is being offered in many companies and many corporations. While these Negroes are on here screaming about corporate debt of Black women, they've already found a way to work that debt out while at the same time locking Black women into corporate America by the alleviation
Yep.
of that debt.
Yes.
I think it was Benjamin Franklin or Benjamin Disraeli. One of them said that debt is slavery. Um,
It's the
the
ultimate slavery.
It is the ultimate slavery. I can't remember the author right now, escapes me, but that's the term, is that debt is slavery. So if they can lock you in corporate America through debt forgiveness, you have an employee for life. It also has
That's
implications with
dangerous.
respect to their retirement benefits. What portion of their salaries will go towards retirement benefits as opposed to the loan repayment plans? So corporate America had, in this way, they had been more progressive in terms of loan, if you want to call that progressive. They had been more progressive in terms of student loan debt repayment than the White House. I think that the White House proposed this knowing it was going to fail. I think they proposed it knowing there was no way in hell that this was going to be something viable for college graduates. But again, it does give them an argument to make in 2024 when Mr. Biden runs for reelection.
And it's excellent you came up here, Tony, because when I think about this is now we're going into the actual president election of next year. I mean, we don't know who the players going to be to run to really, be the possibility to I can't say dethrone, but because most ex presidents they have to run again. That who's going to really say going to be next in line, and from my view, from my eyes, is like if everything plays out, which is possibly that they're trying to get a woman as president there. And the only way they're gonna get this is they gotta have one president that's too old to say what's going forward power. So they can let the whole world know, say, look, we got a woman in America that's running for the free world. Because it
Well,
has to keep the illusion of going that all other countries have no, just me. I'm getting at, I'm saying that you don't have to quote me, that this was always the plan. You get me? And
yes.
so and mind you, I heard rumor there's some woman that's in New York that's government that was potentially gonna run for president, a fresh one, but there's no evidence yet because we're not in 2024 yet. Matter of fact, we'll know in the next couple months because usually it's almost right around the door. So that's what I'm looking at.
Well, the thing is I think at this point, America has had its fill of these experimental um candidates. But
Hmm.
there's one more on the horizon. I think that the black community, I can see the handwriting on the wall. They're angling, and they won't come out and say it because they don't want to alarm the white male voting demographic in America.
Yep.
Black America is really aiming for um, the vice president.
Yep.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
That's what they're aiming and angling for. But they know if they say that now, that's going to, inflame, uh, aggravate, and disturb a lot of the white male voting demographic, and it'll allow them a cause, a rallying cry to push the country politically in another direction. So they're smart
Mm.
enough not to do it now, but I
Yep.
think they are pushing for the election of Kamala Harris. Now, there's been another wild card who has entered into the arena, and that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Robert
I
F.
did not
Kennedy
know that. I
Jr.
might look him up. I might look
Robert
him
F.
up.
Well, there's a very good reason why you don't know that. The mainstream press is not interested in bringing Robert F. Kennedy onto the presidential stage. They have no interest in doing that, and it's a reason why that they have no interest in doing it because he digs up a lot of skeletons in America's political cemetery. He
Mm.
knows where the bodies are buried. And his appeal is such that he can appeal to people that are on the right as well as people that are on the left. I
Okay.
think his platform and his positions are dead set in the center. For example, he is what they call an anti-vaxxer. He thinks that something like that should be
Oh.
optional as opposed to compulsory. But even though it's still optional in this society, but he is anti Fauci. He is anti
Yeah. I
um,
mean, that's as far as we go. We're
vax.
not going in detail because you know how they with YouTube with this.
Well, okay, but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
this: is that his platform is going to appeal to people, the working class independents that tend to be somewhat right of center. But
Hmm.
then he's also very progressive when it comes to issues as it relates to African Americans. He's talked about African Americans getting contracts, federal contracts from the government. He's talked about opportunities specifically for African Americans, which I think is largely something that they all have to say. I don't think it's practical, especially in light of the present ruling on affirmative action by the Supreme Court of the United States. I think that Kennedy's position is probably the best we're going to get as far as someone being in the center.
Hmm.
And he attracts a lot of young people. He's doing very well on social media. He's doing very well on YouTube. He's doing very well shockingly enough, he's doing very well on right wing media. Jordan Peterson has interviewed him quite a few times. Joe Rogan has
Hmm.
interviewed him. So he's launching a vicious social media uh, campaign strategy, a vicious social media type of initiative to try to get the recognition because the name is going to give him recognition because he's a Kennedy.
Yeah, it's Kenny. Yeah.
And of course, it also brings up, and he hasn't been shy in stating that who killed his uncle and his father. You
Hmm.
know, he stated that it wasn't some communist plot. It wasn't the result of a lone nut. It was
Hmm.
the Central Intelligence Agency. And
Right.
this is one of the talking points or one of the positions that has made him a quote unquote the candidate for the conspiracy theorist.
Mm.
So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be a wild card. And of course, Cornel West is a candidate. Now we all know that Cornel West ain't got a chance
Oh
in hell.
God.
We all know that Cornel West ain't got a chance in hell of becoming president of the United States. We know that that's not going to happen.
That ain't gonna happen. Yeah.
It will never happen.
Never
But
happen.
the goal is to split enough votes away from, of course, the incumbent candidate to possibly allow the Republicans a shot at the White House. They
Yep.
don't have any strong candidates right now. The best they have is Ron DeSantis. They've done uh, a exemplary job of burying Donald Trump in the news through these various indictments. So
Yep.
the Republican Party has been trying to get rid of him for a minute. Establishment Republicans have been trying to get rid of him for a minute. They don't have an issue with his voting base, but they want his voting base at, out here in the community or out here in the suburban communities. They want them out here, canvassing. They want them at the polls. They want them getting people out. They do not want these people running policy. So therefore, the Trumplicans, or the rhinos, they will be pushed to the side, but they don't have a replacement candidate that can excite that base. Now, DeSantis comes close with his positions on critical race theory and whatnot, but he's really not likable. I mean, the guy attacked Disney. Who attacks Disney? But he's a younger version. He's Trump 3.0. The only problem is that, again, they're a little concerned about him drawing enough of the youth demographic on the right, not on the left, drawing that youth demographic on the left to make a real difference in 2024. But as of this period, we're just concentrating on the Democratic side of the election, because the Republicans have not yet produced candidates on their side of the aisle yet, other than DeSantis. So I say that to say that Kennedy is a third-party option that will draw that support away from Biden. But one of the issues that Biden will use will be this student loan debacle. It will be the failure of this student. It will be the Supreme Court decision against affirmative action, because all of those are cultural and hot-button issues in the Black community. So you'll have political pundits pushing for Biden because they'll come up with something ridiculous like some plan to amend affirmative action, which is not going to happen. They'll also come up with some plan for student loan debt relief, which I think he's pitching some type of repayment plan even as we speak, which is really essentially no different than the original payment plan that they proposed. The only real one, the only tenable one that was actually something viable was the plan of the Obama administration, where you work for the government for 10 years and it's forgiven. So you have to give them a pound of flesh and they'll forgive the indebtedness. So, I mean, other than that, this was an exercise in futility. It's what me and my partner, Big Mike, would call a false flag operation. It was never going to happen, but it's something to get people up in arms for the upcoming election.
Yeah. It gives some for some people to think about. Some people, like you said, to get our folks back on that one side again and say, I failed, but don't worry, I have something in the plans. I couldn't accomplish a few things besides giving you Juneteenth. But if I'm reelected for a second term, I might present some much more favorable to the Supreme Court, which, like you said, Tony Mesa, it's gonna be the same thing. And I remember with some people that work like teachers or any what do you call it, government jobs and stuff. Yeah, they will pay your loans for a period of 5 to 10 years, which is fair, depending on when you get out of college. And I think, to me, if I had to propose something, I said it should be no minimum like maybe 5 years if they're going to script anything. But we all know, depending on what type of education, how far you stay in school, how much debt you accumulate, it should vary. You get me? Now, if you hold up to almost loans that's as much as that, close to like a house, like $100K or almost $250,000, you're gonna have problems, in my opinion. But like I said, people think that education by default is free and say, just get the loan, don't worry about it, you'll figure out to pay for it, you just want to get it. And I say, no, you have to start thinking about it, because how this government works, how the system works, is a capitalist system. And the whole intention is to keep as much money as possible and keep squeezing out of you. If they can make you a better slave and a permanent slave, they will do so without your knowledge. That's why I was never fond of people getting loans. If you're going to have to get a loan, you should be able to know what you get into and try to calculate how far it will take you to get off that student loan.
Well,
but that's just me.
Go ahead. Well, it's my position. I absolutely think that education should be free.
It should be free. I agree.
I think in other parts of the world, postgraduate education in many of the Eastern European countries, in Germany, postgraduate education is free. In some of the socialist countries, education is free. But because that's such a radical idea, in a so-called free market economy,
Mm-hmm.
that's a pariah. That word free education is a pariah in a free market economy.
Yeah.
But again, I think education should be free.
It should be free.
I don't
Yeah.
think, because I think it is a key factor in determining the quality of your life. I think education is a right. I mean, if we go back and look at something like Franklin Delano Roosevelt's 10 bill, he proposed a 10, I think it was an additional Bill of Rights. That's what it was called. Franklin Delano Roosevelt's additional Bill of Rights. He dealt with the issue of education. I can't recall whether he asked that it would be free, but you got to remember during that period, people that were veterans like myself,
Mm-hmm.
they had the option for basically free education because the GI Bill for post World War II uh, veterans and Vietnam veterans virtually paid their college tuitions.
Mm.
Virtually, now they subsequently changed the GI Bill, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm speaking of. I want to correct it if I didn't state it correctly before. Post World War II veterans and post Vietnam veterans had a different GI Bill that would pay for education and not accumulate the debt, as opposed to what came later. Of course, the use of student loans. So back during Roosevelt's era, when he proposed this additional Bill of Rights, it also included the right to uh, an education, not just at grade level, but collegiate education, and also proposed the right to post collegiate education. All these things because they believed, silly as they were, that an educated person or an educated populace would be a successful populace. That education was an investment. If you invested in the education of your citizens, it would reflect in the economy. Go figure, right?
Of course.
So I mean, that wasn't as radical back then as it is today.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of free education, is not something that's unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something that Americans need to look at. And I think it's something that other candidates have spoken about, but they'll say it initially on the campaign trail,
Didn't
but
Bernie
then the
Sanders one
closer.
time mention it when he
Yes,
was
he
president?
did mention it. He did mention it. And he's all Bernie Sanders has always been an advocate of free education or free collegiate education. He's always been an advocate against the student loan balloon or the student loan bubble, as it's
Yeah.
been referred to. He's always been an advocate, but because that could be referred to, Americans have an aversion to the word socialism. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure that many of them actually know what socialism means,
They
but
don't, bro. Uh,
they
th-
have an aversion to the word socialism, not understanding that there are tenets of this. There are socialist practices in American society. The Social Security Act is a socialist tactic.
but they,
What's another one? The VA administration. That's a
mm,
socialist tactic. In terms giving veterans free health care, that is a kind of socialist measure. But because Americans have been so far, how can I say this? They've been so far um,
miseducated.
brainwashed, miseducated, indoctrinated.
Yeah,
They've been so
indoctrinated. That's a better
they've
word.
been
Yeah.
so indoctrinated, uh, indoctrinated against what they perceive to be communist infiltration, to the point where they don't realize that actually socialism and communism are two different things. But I'm getting off track. The point here is this: is that that's something that should be a right, and the banks are going to be against any measure that has anything to do with them not getting their compound interest, even if they know that that debt won't be paid, because that's also profitable. It's also profitable if the debt isn't paid, because they have insurance policies on these loans that pay off
Yeah.
a certain amount per thousand, whatnot. I mean, this thing is shot through with all types of policies, all types of assignments of debt, all types of third party interests, all types of undisclosed banking partners, to the extent that you see that if they don't get the loan, or if they don't get the repayment on the loan, they'll come up with all these various schemes. Like, okay, they call you home and say, well, okay, all you have to do is pledge to give us whatever your income can withstand. And what we'll do is we'll take that payment from you every month, and that'll keep you out of arrearage. It doesn't go towards the interest on the loan, nor does it go toward the principal. But what it does is it just keeps you out of arrearage. So they know that it's not going to be paid back, and they have all these alternate or counter mechanisms to still get money out of you. Because, when you start talking about levying people's taxes due to unpaid student loans, when you start talking about garnishing their bank accounts and things of that nature,
Wow.
they
Yeah.
have a way to force you into compliance into these other uh, schemes. So what you have here is a vast subprime market of people getting wealthy off the student loan crisis. And that's probably the primary reason, or I'm satisfied that that's the primary reason that this situation is never going to be resolved, not in the way that President Biden proposed.
Yeah, and like I said, I kept up with it. As you know, Tony, I had like an alternate channel that talks about politics and stuff, and I haven't really gone in detail about this proposal. I might have did it on a broadcast, but when I look at when they strike down the affirmative action, after that the next hour or wherever, they said now we're not going to go even consider your plan of student forgiveness. So they hit two birds, one stone. Say, I'm slamming this down and I'm slamming this down. Now what? So now he can go back and tell the American people and backpedal what he said his promise was. But if people really look into it, to why Supreme Court's made that decision, if you have children or young adults that's going to college, and I'm only gonna make a recommendation, I'm not gonna suggest what people do. I say your children should plan what they're gonna do if they decide to go to higher education. Are you going to be paying something? Are you going to fit the bill? Are you going to make them work? Or you have to start lay out the plan now. You should not depend on the government to try to bail you out, because let's be honest, Tony, and I agree with you. I never really said that things should be for free, but in regards to education, if we look outside the third world countries or other nations, they do educate their population so they don't get fooled by, these type of institutions.
Well, then we look at this thing, the indoctrination and the brainwashing, because you just said, you don't believe it should be free, but nobody ever says that corporate subsidies shouldn't be free, but they are.
They are, yeah.
They are. These corporations get hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in corporate subsidies that do not go back into the economy, because it has been proven that trickle-down economics does not work. The more money that they're given, they tend to hoard it. They do not distribute it. So I just find it interesting that nobody ever talks about that form of corporate welfare. They only talk about when working class and middle class Americans are asking for some degree of cost sharing or profit sharing as it relates to some large corporate interest. Then they want to talk about socialism, but they don't call it socialism when they get subsidies. They don't call it socialism when they get, these tax breaks that prevent them from paying little to nothing in taxes, and these loopholes that allow them to maintain double residency. And what I mean by double residency, I'm sure that that's not the right word, but the word escapes me at this time. It allows them a corporate presence in other countries where the burden of taxation is light.
Yep.
Offshore accounts. It allows them to maintain offshore accounts. It allows them dual citizenship. That's what it is. That's what I meant to say. Dual citizenship in other countries. You take someone like, let's say, I don't know if he's still alive, but the head of the Campbell Soup, the former head or present head, I'm not sure if he's still alive. Again, John Dingman. John Dingman was wanted on, hundreds of tax violations, avoiding income tax. And, the IRS chased him around for years, and he just said, to hell with it, I'm out of here. And he left, and, he went to Belize, and he got him, a little $1 million mansion, and where he pays, the servants to tend to him. I think about $6 a day. I think that was the last count, to basically work on his plantation in Belize and secure or serve his interests there in a foreign country, while still allowing the Campbell Soup empire to operate, and knowing that Dingman had these tax liabilities, but allowing him to escape offshore and not be punished for this. This is the thing that a lot of these corporations take advantage of. No one ever talks about socialism there. No one talks about corporate socialism. They only talk about socialism as it relates to welfare. And I agree, it is problematic. Socialism, as it relates to working class and working poor people, is
Mhm.
problematic. But I would say corporate welfare is equally as problematic in terms of the damage that it does to the economy and the damage that it does to jobs,
Yeah.
which again is the economy. So I'm always taken aback when I hear people say, "Well, things shouldn't be free," but then when you look at the top 1%, most of their wealth is obtained through handouts in the forms of subsidies, tax breaks, loopholes,
A lot of
and,
loopholes.
and loopholes. And they purchase politicians to push these loopholes and to create these loopholes.
Hmm.
I just find that a little bit that is eye opening. It gets my attention. It raises my eyebrow when people have a problem with someone going to school for free, but they don't have a problem with people earning their wealth for free and then not investing that wealth back in the economy. I have
Well,
an issue with that.
well, let me ask you one more question, Tony. Do you think that besides normal Americans, but let's say our people and other groups, that you think that a lot of them, because they want to fall and affiliate with one certain side, like either they want to fall Democrat, Republican, or said this free market, we hear a lot of these dudes be talking about. Do you think that either they really want to learn and be educated about this, or they want to be those type of one percenters where they can get all the breaks? That's why they keep fighting it and trying to condition the average normal Joe to saying you should not be asked for this, but in return say I want to be this, and
I
I'm not
think
really educated into this. Go ahead.
I think
I
I
don't know if
think
I'm
it's
clear enough with that question.
I think it's definitely a lot of people want to be down with the dude on top of the stairs. Everybody wants to be down with a winner. I mean, I get it. A lot of people identify with the 1%. I mean, because the type of cultural influence they have as far as over what we see in terms of opulence, lifestyles of the rich and famous, or look at something like Cribs. You remember back in the day they had MTV Cribs, or that was for us primarily, but
Yeah.
Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Robin Leach, and there are these other shows. Now it's the reality shows that have taken over and shown people what it's like to be part of the 1%. So everyone wants to be down with the dude on top of the stairs, and there's nothing really wrong with them wanting to be wealthy. There's nothing wrong with any of us wanting to be wealthy. I think the question becomes is how far will we go in terms of that? How much is enough? How much?
Hmm.
There's a term that economists coined about 10 years ago. It's called affluenza. It means this overwhelming desire and this predilection toward worshiping at this altar of mammon and wealth to the point where you lose all vestiges of common sense and pragmatism. So I do believe that a lot of people want to choose the side of the 1% because they believe that there's no way you're going to beat wealthy people. There's no way you're going to beat the man who has the gold because he makes the rules. But I think when it becomes injurious to the point where you collapse the society, that's a problem because we're not very far in spite of all the so-called progress that people claim is being made in certain sectors. We're not very far from 1929. We're not very far from the Great Depression. Nothing goes in one direction forever. What goes up must come
Come
down. There's
down. Yeah.
always a market correction.
Yep.
So when these things happen, they tend to happen because people imbibe on this wine of excess, on this visual pornography of excess and opulence and wealth, and they don't see the forest for the trees. They don't see the telegram pole for the white line in the middle of the road. So I think it's very much they want to identify with that. I think they to some extent are uh, parishioners at this church of greed and opulence. Gordon Gekko said it, I think, over 40 years ago. He said, no, 30 years ago, excuse me, over 30 years ago, Gordon Gekko said that greed is good. And so here we are in 2023. Greed is not only good, greed is preferable, greed is necessary.
It's
So,
great.
it's
Yeah.
great. Exactly. So
Yeah.
people identify with that. They like it, they support it, they love it. I don't think that they're necessarily aware of the consequences
Mhm.
of what happens, if it's
Mhm.
taken to the extreme.
Yeah, in my opinion, I don't think they really care. They said I must get rich or delete trying. But let me go through more of this article. Toy Mason, I'm not gonna hold your time. I appreciate you coming up. I think it's the first time, maybe the first time. But like I said, I don't do most of these broadcasts. I think it was important to cover this portion of it because it sit with me because I'm always been advocating for people that if they're gonna do the educational part, that you must know what you're getting into and find ways to how you gonna go through the higher education without getting a whole lot of debt. That's my biggest concern. I don't want especially our people, because let's be honest, if we did the data out of people that has accumulated a lot of debt, I think Black people, we are almost, if I come wrong, almost at top of that. And I think our women in our community are at the top. So we got to really address this and say we got to figure out a different plan
Well,
because we already at the bottom as much. I don't want to say that, and there is
well,
a
it's the truth
projection.
though. We
Go ahead, go ahead.
It's the truth though. We are at the bottom.
Yeah.
And but that's I want to say this, and then I'm gonna hop off here.
Mhm.
It's really cruel and moronic for anyone to ridicule, and I'm not saying that you're doing this. It's cruel and moronic for anyone to ridicule Black women in our community that sought to improve themselves or sought to elevate their lot in life through education, knowing that many of those women in our community come from impoverished households, knowing that
Mhm.
many of those women in our community come from single parent households that have been steeped in generational poverty or have been steeped in generational struggle in the working class. It's cruel to vilify them for seeking some form of relief through education, to allow them the means and the quality or the control of the quality of their life, and that they got into debt by doing it. Now, to have something like that used as a pejorative or as an insult against them when they were trying to escape a very bad situation is the height of ignorance. It is
Mhm.
the height of of, uh, of immaturity. It is, again, it is lunacy. Um, it is epic. It is epic lunacy for anyone to condemn someone for using a process that presents itself as relief. It's lunacy for someone to ridicule someone who is trying to use a process that presents itself as relief to an unlivable or deleterious or dangerous situation in a community, using that as a means to escape and then turning around and ridiculing them for the consequences of that decision. Now they like to apply that. They will apply that type of understanding to drugs. That being, okay, well, it's okay if if these Negroes can sell drugs because they're trying to alleviate themselves from poverty. So it's okay if they sell drugs and alleviate themselves from poverty and go to prison, destroy the community in the process, explode the rate of mass incarceration, destroy the property values in the community, bust up families for generations, but they're going to be upset at this Black woman for going to college and
Yeah.
going into debt on her own in order to improve or in order to break generational curses of poverty. I find that to be highly hypocritical. Uh, the complete asinine nature of anyone that would actually propose that argument. Those people should be committed to a sanitarium and they should not be listened to. So this
Mm.
for us to say that the student loan debacle, it is problematic in the Black community, but what can you do about it?
Can't do nothing. Yeah, your own
It,
fears if you know what you're getting into, and you have to make the necessary precautions. That's all.
Well, that we have options toward this sort of thing.
Okay.
I've long been an advocate for co-ops. I've long been an
Okay.
advocate. I'm not a socialist, but I believe in co-ops. I believe in educational co-ops. I believe in insurance co-ops. I believe in
Mhm.
labor co-ops.
Okay.
I believe Co-ops are an appropriate strategy for a people that only constitute 13% of the American body politic. And all co-op is the aggregation of wealth and power for a particular purpose. That's all it is. That's all it means. Now, how this can be carried out is anyone's guess. There are 1,000 different variations that this can be carried out. But again, to say that to blame and to ridicule Black women for being so-called the highest number of people in the Black community that are afflicted with student debt is ridiculous, given the consequences. Given the environment and given the situation and the circumstances that they're up against. It is ridiculous to call these to throw any stones at these women for trying to attach themselves to a process that offers itself as relief.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's gonna be good. We're gonna work it out. Like I said, I just inform people personally on this. And like I said, there's gonna be some very unique decisions made next year about things. So, like I said, keep your eyes open, people. But like always, thank you, Tony Maceo. And like I said, if anything else that comes about, I'll do this again soon. All right.
Take care. All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's Tony Maceo, everybody. Senator Board. And he's also on Clubhouse as well. I hope you guys learn and take some out of that conversation. I surely did. So now let's move forward. How much more left into this article? I'm going to probably go through this article, and I'm going to look at certain data about the national debt and some other things. I forgot. I should have did this. Let me do this, guys. I forgot. My manners. Oh, I see your comment line. Give me 1 second. One second, guys. All right, let's continue, guys. And let me read your comment line. It's one thing to engage in the process, is another thing to think you don't have to pay for the engagement. Yes, that's true. So true. Let's keep going with the article, guys. Let me see if I can find this. Biden announced new steps aims at helping borrower repay student loan after the Supreme Court invalidates his debt relief plan. The president outlines new repayment options that would be available to millions of borrowers, as well as administrators plan to provide border relief. The president says that once student loan repayment begins on October the 1st, after a 3-year pause that began during the pandemic, borrowers will have the opportunity to enroll in a temporary 12-month on-ramp repayment program that will remove the threat of default. During this period, if you can pay your monthly bills, you should. And Biden says in brief remarks from the White House, but if you miss payments, this out-ramps will temporarily remove the threat of default or having your credit harm, which can hurt borrowers for years to come. And there's more. Biden lowers income-based loan payment cap. Biden says that students' loan borrowers will be required to pay a lower percentage of their income under new policies, responding to the Supreme Court striking down his loan cancellation. Previously, a borrower could be required to pay up to 10% of their disposable income. Going forward, that levels will be lowered to 5%. Biden announced a 12-month student loan forbearance program. Biden condones the Supreme Court student loan decision in his address to the nations, calling it a mistake and wrong. He said he would create a temporary year-long on-ramp repayment program, and the pause would end by Biden saying for a year, borrowers who miss payments will not be subject to penalties or being reported to credit agencies. Let me check what's going on in the chat room before I continue reading this. Okay, I see you guys go back here. Tony writes, you pay for the engagement by engaging. That was the point of the Obama plan, which was 10 years of government service in exchange for the forgiveness of debt. Yes. And that's good. And that's a good argument. Somebody should tell that the BF go rich chasing Standard Oil, PP, and Monsanto. Yeah. And you know my view with Monsanto, because Monsanto is one of them other corporations that's making a whole lot of money off, let's say augmentation of foods. Let's continue on with the article. All right. During the speech, he also touted how the administration has already made progress in addressing student debt and education affordability. Biden criticized Republican officials, saying that he could not bear the thought of providing relief for working and middle-class Americans. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona stood next to Biden during the remarks, but did not speak. The youngest House member says must find out ways to forgive student loan debt. And before I continue, it looks like this. How long is this? Hold on, guys. Oh, wow. These are people's comments. I'm not going to read all their comments. I might stop at a point. I'm not going to go for all this because this is going to be too lengthy for y'all. I'll read a few more. Republican Maxwell Foster, DFA, the youngest member of Congress, said that the student loan decision doesn't strike down the president's ability to forgive student debt, but rather the way he was doing it now is just going to be incumbent upon the administration to find other ways to do it and other laws to look at other mechanisms. He said in an interview on MSNBC, Adrian Mitchell reports Friday, will continue to push the president to do it. The issue of student loan forgiveness and how Biden responds to the ruling will play a big role in his popularity with younger voters, Foster said. Which, this is really a young people thing. Hold on. A young people thing. And this will affect a lot of young people or people that's existing that might have student loan debts personally. And they're going to probably work with Biden in a way so that they can relieve their little debts. But, that's just hopeful wishing. Liberal lawmakers call for SCOTUS reform. I'm not sure what that is. Progressive lawmakers are calling for a variety of Supreme Court reform. Republican Rashida Tlaib D. Mitch and Barbara Lee D. DeCalf have both advocates for expanding the courts, with Biden reiterating yesterday he does not support. This is not democracy, Lee tweet. Expand the courts. Senator Bernie Sanders, IVT, and Mark Warner, DVE, reiterates calls to establish a code of ethics for courts, and the time is long overdue for the Supreme Court to do what every other branch of the judicial does. Sanders said in a press release, this must establish a code of ethics standards so that justice cannot secretly accept lavish financial gifts from billionaire patrons. And Republican Jan, I think I'm not going to pronounce his name, Shawaski D. Illo, called on Justice Clarence Thomason and Samuel Alito to resign and And Republican Ron Khanna, the California, tweets that he would reintroduce a bill to create terms limit for justice. And this is what Tony was speaking before of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Let's read his tweets. Who is challenging Biden in the 2024 Democrat presidential primary, tweets that the Supreme Court ruling on student loan is unfortunate, but call it a predictable result of Biden's failure to bring Congress together on the issues of crucial importance to young Americans. He said that he would pressure Congress to provide meaningful student debt relief and reduce the cost of education, which I doubt that's going to happen, personally. I doubt that's going to happen. Hold on, guys. I doubt that's going to happen. Okay. President Biden knew his plan would survive a legal challenge. His plans gave the appearance of action while accomplishing nothing. This is an issue of grave importance to our country. As president, I will galvanize public support to pressure Congress to put down there. And there's more tweets, which I'm not reading tweets, but this is him in his Twitter. I'm going to stop right there. I think I've gone through that. I was going to really go through Biden's point of view of this, but I think Tony kind of gave a little bit more context to that. If you want to follow up, follow me on Facebook and ask for this actual article. I will share this article with you personally. I'm not going to put no links here. I'm not going to do that. As much as I sure do want to do that, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. So now I'm looking at this. Yeah, because you're gonna have to you're gonna have to really follow this yourself. All right, so let me see if I can find the other article. This is the same article. I got one more article to pull up if I can find it. All right. Let me see what article this is. Yeah, it's the same article. All right, well, you got the article side of things. So now let's look at the student loan debt as a whole. Hey, what's good, Jay Sean? If you want to come up, bro, the link's in the chat room. I'll put it again for you. I had Tony up here earlier, so if you want to time in on this, give your take, please do. Anyone else that could too. I'm gonna Google right now the national debt. But first, let me look at what is this? All right, so it will not do that. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna search and see, because we have artificial intelligence and we'll tell you. Okay, I think this is current. I'm looking at the dates. Okay, this looks like this might be current. Yes, this is. I'm going to share this right now. Yeah, this is the one. All right, so sit back, guys. I'm going to share another screen of the current debt. I thought it was over 2 trillion now, but let's look. The student loan debt statistics. My Million Hands last update, June 29, 2023, set by this webpage. And it says here, the student loan debt in the United States totaled at 1.774 trillion. The debt accumulation rate is slowly, and recent analytics indicate that the most consumer manage their student loan debt responsibility. The outstanding federal loan balance is now 1.644 trillion and accounts for 0.92.6% of all student loan debts. 43.6 million borrowers have federal student loan debts. And if we look at 43.6 million that borrow and is in debt, the normal or the total population right now in America, and I'm going to look that up right now, the total population of people in United States in America. All right. I'm looking at this now. Okay. That looks to be right. All right, so I'm going to share this. Let me get rid of these stupid commercials because they're annoying. All right, I'm going to share this one. This share screen here. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to come back to that in a second. We're going to go share this one. Share screen. Let's look at the population. This is the population right now in a stance in the United States of America. This says a lot of projection right now. We're up to 336,894,446. And they said we have borrowed, there are borrowers of 43.6 million. So now let's do the math. And let's see how good my math is. Calculator. And make sure it's on scientific. Let's divide that up. Or let's subtract that. And we're going to subtract this. Now, what's good, Gray Pill Podcast? How you doing, man? You know, I did put in the link for anybody want to come up. It's optional. Oh, guys, please donate and support the channel if y'all can. No, this is one of these streams, I don't talk about, but, it is a necessity now because this is very important. So now, if we got that amount, we're going to put in the calculator. And let me show my calculator. And y'all could probably correct me on this because, I might not got it all squared up. All right. Okay. Let's see how effective this is. We're going to take 300 8 4 4 5 2. That's how much. And let's say how many is. Let me subtract it. Let me see what happens if I subtract it. See how many more Americans left. All right, we're going to subtract that by. And so right now it's roughly 43.6 million. So we're going to subtract that. 43 million. And we're going to say 6. So we're going to say 600. All right, so let's say it's 43,600,000, right? How many Americans left over that did not take on student loan debt? What's your prediction? 336 million subtracted by 43,600, or 43 million 6, which I think is 600. Let me see what y'all say in the chat. Let's see what y'all say. All right, y'all probably watch. All right. Let me see if I can do the other calculations. That leaves us with 293,264,452 Americans that have not put themselves on student loan debt. That has not borrowed. That actually has not considered borrowing to go to college. I mean, that sounds like it makes sense. I could be wrong, but yeah. If anybody can correct me, they could do so if you watch the stream to see the math makes sense. So let me start sharing the screen. Okay. So now we see the amount of population right now. That's how much in the population right now. And usually we don't go by, and then, we could break down the numbers of age, race, etc. That's somewhat important, but we're not gonna do all that. All right, so let me stop this one, and now I'm gonna look at the student loan debt right now. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. Great pill. So are we really in the debt then? Well, you got to understand, it adds and accumulates to the national debt of America. Anytime when you're not paying your bills, that is considered a debt. Personally. All right, so let me look at this. I'm not sure if anybody else covered this, but and it makes me wonder, when I do these streams, do people really do the numbers and really critically cover this? I'm questioning now if anybody, because when I do my streams, I try to cover as much ground as possible. I don't see anybody else. I could be wrong because there are so many other channels and people that covers this on their own social media that I'm not sure how far people will go to do this information and really do the actual numbers. But that's just me. I could be wrong. But I'm a unique person. When I do things, I gotta do it in its entire essence. I cannot really half-ass conversations or certain content personally. All right. One other thing, guys, because I'm trying to I think I forgot some on Gmail. Delete this. Okay. I got some good news. All right. Hold on, guys. I'm this. I'm just, give me 1 second, guys. I am doing something right now. Okay, so now let me see my share screen. Okay, good. So now let's look at this now. Sorry. The average federal student loan debt balance is $37,717, while the total average balance includes private loans debts may be as high as $40K. Okay, less than 2% of private student loan enter default as of 2021. For financial quarter of 2020, quarter four, the average public university student borrow is $25,989. To attain a bachelor's degree, just to attain one degree, not no what do they call it, associate's degree, to get an actual bachelor's degree. The related reports include total student loan debt, average student loan debt, student loan forgiveness, student loan default rate, average student loan payments, and student loan refinancing. Just like how you refinance a house. Ain't that something you can refinance a student loan? Did not know that. Interesting. Okay, and I see the projection, and this is up to 2022, because we're now in 2023. And we're going to go through the student loan debt by ethnicity, but we're going to go straight down. Look at the numbers. Student loan debt quarterly, year to year, YOY change, 1.53% up to the first quarter of 2023. And as you know, it goes down. Some of it goes up, some of it goes down. It fluctuates. The only time we had it really when the rate of percentage increase very high was up to 2020. And as 2022 came about, the rate started to slowly dip slightly. Student loan debt continues to decrease in the rates of beginning of 2023. The national student loan debt only increased by 1.3% YOY in the second financial quarter of 2023. Maintain a trend of low growth since the last quarter of 2022. The national student debt balance decreased from the second financial quarter of 2023 to the second financial quarter of 2023 at a difference of negative 0.22% reduction. Since the first quarter of 2023, student loan debt has decreased from 1.8% to 1.53%. The federal and private student loan debt has already increased by roughly $10 billion from the first quarter to the second fiscal quarter of 2023. Last year, 2022 student loan debt statistics. As you know, it went up to 1.4, read differently. We're going to go down to that one. Let's skip down. And this is the 2022 up to 2011, and it goes down more student loan debts from 2011 to 2022, an span of 11 years. From a total of, looks like $1 trillion here. Yeah, it's trillion. $1 trillion here. 1.7 to 2021, 733 billion. And then it goes down, it goes down, it goes down, and it goes down. So every year, and it gives you a percentage how I think it in the increase. Now, mind you, guys, I'm looking at numbers. So I'm trying to make understanding of this. But I think it shows with every increase and decrease, it shows the percentage rate of the change. And mind you, I'm not an accountant, so I'm observing and seeing numbers the first time like y'all seeing the numbers. Let me check my studio. All right, good. No, it's in studio. All right. And like I said, I'm going back and forth. I'm monitoring. Let me go back. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to look for something right now. Okay. All right. I was looking back for checking if I can go in the chat room. So you see the rate. Let's go down. Student loan debt relief statistics. Federal student loan interest is right now at 0 for most federal loans until after June 30th, 2023. Okay. 55% of Americans support cancellation to upwards of 10 grand per borrow in federal student loan. 47% support cancellation and upwards of 50K per borrow. 33% of student borrowers owe 10 grand or less in federal debts 73% owe 40% or less. 30% of Americans oppose student loan debt cancellation. You know, have y'all noticed with the who voted off by the percentage? Anything greater than, I would say, 25%. You know, most people are ingredients about paying for education and have to fit the bill. 30 to 33 to 55%. We could say, from the look of this, a good portion of American populations don't want to owe and be put on student loan debt. And they agree that it should be canceled. Now, if you look at the amount right now that has actually borrowed the money, that's roughly 43,600,000 Americans borrow the money. Out of that small percentage y'all see, those ones that's in favor of it. In regards to the whole 290, wait, my fault. It's like 290 something million Americans that have not borrowed. Probably might be the higher percentage that don't really care or not really saying that it should be canceled, because most of them are not the ones that fit in the bill. That's my assumptions. That's my conclusions of it. Since that there's only that many Americans that have to borrow, the other population is not really in student loan debt, but it still equates to the national debt of America, because once you have people in the millions owing money, that adds up to not billions but trillions. I mean, that's how the rationale of how the number is supposed to work. But let's keep going. Yeah. And make sure you hit the like button. Okay, what else is here? Those are strongly supportive of 110,000. Okay. Amongst those identified themselves as liberals, 67% support student loan forgiveness. Okay. Among those identified as conservatives, 31% support student loan forgiveness. Those who strongly support up to 10,000 student loan forgiveness are 36% more likely to be female than male. And obviously, because women go to school more than male in America. And let's be honest, there are more women than males. And school really today, as we look at, was actually designed for women. As much as that sounds sexist, but it is. I mean, I said this many times on my channel, that it is come to a point that girls and boys should be separate in school systems. I think the time is now that should be a thing, that if they're really serious of dealing with getting the best out of these boys, especially black boys, you got to separate them from the girls. It's a requirement now. It's not something that we could just keep speculating, in my opinion. All right. I'm looking down right now. And 56.0% of those who strongly support student loan forgiveness make less than $50,000 annually, and 14.3% make over $100K. And Richard, if you make roughly almost six figures, which is 120 after taxes, you might bring home maybe $100K, maybe less. You will be normally should be able to pay off any loan once you start making that amount of money. Because what's that? Six figures, 120,000 a year. That's roughly 10K a year. You could take a couple of those thousand and put down to lower your debt. But it goes back to business money management, which a lot of Americans we don't do, and we're not well abreast. In May 2020, 9% of borrowers who attend public institutions were behind on their student loan payment. 7% borrowers who attend private nonprofit institutions, and 24% of borrowers who attend private for-profit schools were behind on their loan payments. By July, 11.2% of adults with student loan debt reports they were unable to make at least one student loan payment that year to date. In early 2020, 75.3% of private student loans were in repayments, while 20% were in deferment. While many private lenders offer suspension and payments of up to 3 months, few, if any, different interests. Federal student loan debt freeze. Before I go on to this, before I continue. Okay. Between 2020, second and third financial quarter, the amount of student loan debt in repayments decreased by 80%, while student debt is forbearance increased by 375%. Between the third and fourth financial quarter, student loan in forbearance declined by 0.44%. Also, during this period, the number of loans and repayments grew by 33.3%. The number of loans in default also declined by 1.79%. 56.65% of all debt from federal student loan remains in forbearance until September 2022. 26.7 million of 61.2% of borrowers have loan in forbearance. 300,000 or 0.88% of federal student loan borrowers have loans currently in repayment. 40% of students' loan debt balance belong to students who are still in school. 1.38% of total federal student loan debt is in a grace period. 7% of federal debt is a default loan. Federal student loan debt quarterly, which I'm not going to, looks like the same thing. And it looks like it's giving up the same, and it shows like a dip. What? Yeah. And it goes into private, other debt, education. So this is what I'm going to do, because it's now going down and down when as I'm scrolling down. We're going to get to the by sex, and then we're going to go by ethnicity. Student loan debt by sex and gender. 61.4% of female bachelor degrees holders accept federal student loans. 52.2% of male bachelor degrees holders accept federal loans. So from men to ratio between males and females, it's actually right there. Women obviously are going to get an extra 10%. But usually when we talk about taking loans to continue higher education, it's roughly nearly half. Amongst associate degrees holders, hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. All right. Amongst associate degree holders, female students are 49.9% more likely to borrow federal student loan than their male peers. Female bachelor's degree holders borrow 4.27% more in student loan than male bachelor degrees. Female associate's degrees hold borrows at 24.9% more student loan than their male counterparts. For more detail, we can go from here. Next, student loan debt by race or ethnicity. This one should be a good one. Among bachelor's degrees holders, Black students are the most likely to borrow federal loan at 76.1%. Obviously, because we are 30% of the population. Some of us are in poverty. Some of us are not really doing well. As much time people won't think we are, we have done some of it, but we're still at a lower ends here in the West. Because a lot of us had to go and continue our education for higher learning, and that's not for free, unfortunately. On the average, Blacks or African American student borrowers owe $25,000 or more than whites or Caucasian borrowers owe for bachelor's graduates. 4 years after graduation, 48% of Black students borrow and 70% of white students borrow or more than their initial borrows. And I'm going to click onto these links for more detail from sex and the racial aspects. But let me go down. And it shows here student loan debt by age. 34% of adults aged from 18 to 29 years report have student loan debts. Among 30 to 44 years old, 22% report student loan debt. 32.5% of federal student loan debt belongs to borrowers in their 30s. Okay. 72% of indebted federal student loan borrowers are under the age of 25. And amongst 36% of federal borrowers are between the ages 25 to 34. Okay. 4% of federal borrowers are aged of 62% years of old. Okay. And the average 62-year-old federal borrower owes $40,560 in federal education debt, including parental plus loans. Federal borrowers under 25 years old each owe an average of $14,540. Borrowers between the ages of 25 and 34 have an average debt of $32,776. Now, I'm not going to get to the educational attainment side of things. And here's one right here, source of educated debt among borrowers. Take a look. All right, y'all looked at that. I'm just clearing this up right now. Okay. I'm gonna let y'all get a chance to look at that pie chart. That bar chart, actually, my phone. It's a bar chart, not a pie chart. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna look into the details, starting by the sex and gender first, and everything else will make our way down. And this way, this is from December. It should be updated now. We're in 2023. I should be seeing 2022's update. I'm just going to look through this because I'm not going to really go in depth because this is now going on 2 years. I like to see some previously no later than a year old. But, Yeah, this is weird. Let me see if this is showing on my side. Yeah, it's showing on here. Okay. All right, so let me go back. I'm not going to go any further. And as you can tell, Black is the highest. Other races, from the Asians, they don't pay much because some come to this country are attaining some type of wealth. And mind you, the Asians also make their money also off minority people as well, specifically in the Black areas where they set up storefronts. Keep that in mind. All right, let's go back. Let's look at student loan debt from race and ethnicity. And amongst this right here has been updated. So I can go through this. Let's look at this one. Student loan debt by race. This was reported. Black and African American college graduates owe on an average, like I said, $25,000 more in student loan debts than white colleagues scratch. 4 years after graduation, Black students owe an average of 188% more than white student borrowers. Now, before we continue, a side note. Y'all notice I did not go to Black demographics to really find their little statistics on this crap. And the reason why, because I want to go through other sources. I cannot depend on Black demographics because most of their data has not been updated. Personally, that's just my thing. Unless things are updated, I'm not gonna really go by other sources until there's real concrete updated evidence. So now, Black and African American students borrowers are the most likely to struggle financially due to student loan debt, making monthly payments of $250. Asian college grads are the fastest to repay their loan debts and the most likely to earn a salary that exceeds their student loan debt balance. And it goes back to why are the Asians doing this? Because one, they're taking your money, obviously, because they set shop in your communities. And if they come through money array, which most of them do, it makes it easier that they're not going to owe a lot of debt. And it's not because they go get high degrees. It's where are they getting their money from? Where the money coming from? See me? Let me do this. I'm lit right now. Me? You see me? I'm telling y'all right now. When they talk about people that comes to this country, America, right? A lot of them don't come here with nothing. Stop listening to this notion that I had nothing. I did not come with nothing. I had nothing. I came with pennies and my sandals on. No, that's a lie. America is not free. You don't come here just nothing. They put money into these other third world countries so that they're able to take advantage. But majority of them that come here, I'm keeping it real with y'all. Unless you're not coming from the Mexican border, which most other groups, unless you're Latino, might be able to do so, you had to come here the legal route. That means you had to go through a lottery. They have to screenshot you. You got to have some money with you to apply and do all this other stuff to get the possibility to be a citizen or to earn the possibility to become citizens of the United States of America. I remember Cerulean Gray did many live streams on this in detail about the Foreign Aid Act and a lot of in-depth details of why these people got what they got, while the normal average American person that's been here for a good long time had to fight for pennies and scrap for everything, while everybody else come here with benefits and incentives already from the start. And that's just the honest truth. And that's something that they'll never tell you. And they should not tell you that, because they got to keep the illusion going that you have to pull yourself out your bootstrap. Get the out of here with that. I see some comments. Black demographics is good, but it's not a debt either. Yeah, it's not a debt. Correct line. It's never in debt. That's my issue. I looked at Black demographics for last year and a half. And if I look at it now, I guarantee you the information has not been present update into 2023. Some of the data goes back 4 years, 5 years, even go as far as 2017 data. We're in now 2023. Well, I'm seeing data from 5 or 6 years ago. Usually, on an average, you should be data is normally accumulated and updated should be no greater than 2 to 3 years, at best. Mostly, the cut point should be 2 years. You could push 3 years depending on the subject matter, but it should not go beyond those years. Anything that's 4 years, 5 years, even go as far as 6 years old, you don't look at it. It's too old. Yeah, but remember, it costs money online to major in these lucrative fields, because if you look at the national in those many fields. Let me check some, guys. 1 second. Let me check. I noticed I was partially interrupted, but let's check if I'm back. Let's see if I'm back. Oh yeah, I'm back. Okay. So you always gotta have two devices on deck, so you never slow or miss a beat. All right, let me continue with this. I don't want this thing to slow me down. Okay. Related topics. This is a federal student loan for associates and bachelor's degree holders. White Caucasian, 38.6, 38.0, 57.2. And remember, this is associates and bachelors. The bachelor's degree is where most people normally should, if they can't obtain, besides getting associate, depending. As you know, the red shows the bachelors, the blue shows associates. Black and African Americans, we have 54.3 in associates, 76.1% in getting a bachelor's degree, much more. And you always got to keep in mind, this is not just women. This is composed, I think this is composed of both men and women. Hispanic Latino, 63.8% in a bachelor's degree, 33.9% in associates. Asians, 18.8% in a associate degree, 38.3% in a bachelor's degree. Federal student loans for associates and bachelors. This is a loan for this is the loan part of things. Pacific Islander, that's another Asian. Some are mixed people. You see numbers there. American Indian, Alaskans, same numbers here. 62.1% they got bachelors in the loans. And multiracial is 55.1%. And it says statistic economics associates agree that racial ethnic variations in student loans, debts, and repayments are the result of social economic factors rather than physical or inborn characteristics, and charting trends and student debt across racial and ethnic lines help define the social economic factors. This information influences public policy as well as financial and academic strategies. Student loan debt and race and ethnicities. The fact that borrowers of certain race and ethnicities face exceptional obstacles in the quest for advanced education and universal acceptance among academic financial scientists. Black and African American bachelor's degrees holders have an average of $52,000 in student loan debt. 45% of the debt is from student loans and grad school. 40% of Black graduates have student loan debts from graduating schools, while 22% of white college graduates have graduate school debts. Over 50% of student borrowers report their net worth is less than it owes in student debt. And at 52%, Asian students borrowers are the most likely to have the net worth of exceeding their student loan debt. Asian bachelor's degree holders are the most likely to have paid off their student loan debt. 59% of Asian student borrowers are still have education loan debts, but they're not gonna have it for long. 60% of Hispanics and Latino student borrowers have education debt. 7% of white and Caucasian student borrowers have student loan debts. White college graduates have owed 7 times the amount of wealth than Black college graduates because America is mostly 87% white, while everybody else is like 13% maybe. Monthly student loan payments by race. And as you can tell the pie chart, who has the highest right now? $250, Blacks. The second highest is Asians, $240. The lowest is 2 or more race, $150. And whites own $201. Student loan repayment plan typically establish a regular monthly payment. It may be based on a percentage of their income and size of their remaining debt. Lowering monthly payments means a higher ultimate cost due to interest rate. Black and Asian students borrow and owe the highest monthly payment. And Blacks and African American students borrow are second most likely to have monthly payments of $250. or more. All right. Yes. 1 second, guys. I forgot to do this. And it's good that y'all guys can hear me. I'm just going through some right now. All right. So what else? Hold on, guys. All right. Let's go down. American Indians and Native Alaskans are the most likely to have monthly payments or less than 250. And obviously because they get subsidies to the American government because they got some form of reparations. The portion of white students paying and receiving federal student loan is about equal to the percentage of American Indians, Alaskans, Native borrowers receiving student loans. Yet American Indians, Alaska Natives acquire large loan sums than white students borrows. Payment status of student loans for owning education. Asian right now only owns 5%. Hispanics with that are behind, my fault, 5% behind. We're gonna look at the red, work our way down to the black. Who owes behind? Asians are only behind by 5%. Hispanics are behind 20%. Whites are only behind 6%, but blacks are behind 23%. That's behind in student loan on education, payment status of student loan for owning education. And please, guys, keep hitting the like button as you come in. Current, right now, Asians, 44%. Hispanics, 56%. Whites, 61%. Blacks, 66% behind in payment status of student education and paid off rating. Man, looking at this is very, very depressing. Y'all see the numbers in the black that has paid. Asians almost paid almost their whole debt by 52%. Whites, 32%. Hispanics, 23%. Blacks right now are 11%. Only that's how much they actually still have to pay and still behind. Student debt impacts by race. Student loan debt may have significantly affected an in-debt borrower financial decision. Many student borrowers report that they delay life goals and milestones due to debt. Stress related to education, debt may also hinder personal timelines. What do you mean by timelines? Can they go in detail? I don't know. Hispanics and Latino borrowers were the most likely to delay getting married and having children due to the student loan debt. Let me read that again. What? Hispanics and Latino borrowers were the most likely to delay getting married and having children due to student loan debt. I thought it was black people. 33% of Hispanic student borrowers said that put off getting married due to their student loan debt. 30% of Hispanic borrowers delay having children due to debt. Is this true or not? It seemed like it. And at 46%, black student borrowers were the most likely to put off buying a home. Well, you don't have money to buy a home anyway if you owe a lot of debt. At 43%, black indebted student borrowers are also the most likely to report having to work more than they would prefer. And in 2007 through 2008, black bachelor's degree holders were the most likely among their embedded peers to describe the education debt relating to stress as very high. Multiracial people report the lowest amount of stress. Yeah, because you got two different racial parents, most likely. Most of them could be possibly Caucasian. In 2012, multiracial people were most likely to report high stress levels. And multiracial people were also the most likely to call their stress levels very low. 58% of Black borrowers do not believe student loans have advanced racial equality. And it shouldn't. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. 66% of Black borrowers report they regret having taken out student loans to fund their education. And the average cumulative amount borrows for undergrad studies: whites 17,850, blacks 22,550, Hispanics 21,240, Asians 21,260, American Indians 19,310, and mixed race 13,820. And student loan debt, or student loan for race and ethnicity, and look like we're almost done. Logically, the initial amount borrowed has tremendously impacted the outstanding student loan debt as well as the amount of borrow ultimately paid. Most undergrad students borrow less than $25,000 in total. 86% of white undergrad students use student loan to pay for school. 58% of student loan goes to white students. 50.8% of black students use loans. 14% of loans go to black students. Asian students use 60% of student loans. 0.5% of loans go to Pacific Islanders. Black students are the most likely to receive federal loans. Asian students are less likely to receive federal loans. Black students are most likely to receive non-federal loans. Asians are less likely to receive non-federal loans. In 2017 through 2018 academic year, Pacific Islanders received the largest average loans at $23,850. The same year, white students received the second largest average loan of $25,920. Asians received the lowest average loans amount of $23,080. And 73.2% of Black and African American undergrad student loans recipients borrow $57,700 cumulatively. Student loan debt forgiveness and race. Most researchers regard student loan debt forgiveness and race focus on the impact on Black borrowers, most likely because this demographics is most likely among race to pay a disproportionate amount of student loan interest, while the accumulating or the elimination of loan payments allow households to relocate those funds to investment. Lawmakers' disagreements on how student loan debt forgiveness might impact racial wealth gaps in the long run. Student loan debt forgiveness will immediately increase the wealth of Black Americans by up to 40%. Black college attendees have a net worth that is $8,500 less than their white peers. White bachelor degree holders make between 19% among women and 30% among men, more immediate annual income than their Black counterparts, while households have a house ownership rate of 71%, while 51% of Black household owns their home. 6% of still indebted Black students loan borrowers do not have a saving account. Among Black students, borrowers on income-driven repayment plans is 71% and do not have a savings account, which is always a problem. That is it. And, let me go back. I'm going to paste this. I'm going to share this on my social media. For those that's interested, you got to be a friend on Facebook to get this. Personally. And let me do this. And I got to double check and make sure I have everything on my. And let me drop the call link one more time because I'm going to eventually wrap this up. All right, the call line is open. There you have it. There you have it. I'm hoping that I've laid out my, and this is just me. I've laid out why this is something that has to be looked at, and why the Supreme Court strike down student loan relief plan, etc. Now what? And always gotta say, what if? What is the next move? Personally, and which every problem there is an actual solution for those that's not aware of. Hold on, guys. Now y'all know me, man. I'm not saying that people should go to college or should not go to college, but y'all guys go out to start really plan ahead. If you have children, your children should have a clear idea of what they really want to do. And personally, this is I could say very depressing in a way, because a lot of promise was presented and made last time I heard, and because these promises that was laid out from your existing president, right, that it said that he is going to accomplish, I mean, nothing is going to be really actually be reality. Personally, and you know, it makes me think now, because we're in a different climate now where they're trying to digitize and really move into more artificial intelligence and make things more of manual labor from people more obsolete, and making technology do more of the simple tasks. We're going to probably re-educate ourselves to how we're going to function in this society we're in now. Personally, in my opinion, and that's something y'all guys don't like to hear, but the truth has to be said. It has to be said that you're going to have to start plan ahead of time how you're going to function in this reality we are now. As you know, I'm dropping my Facebook link for those that want the information to follow me on my Facebook page. Hey, what's good, Juju? How you doing? I'm not sure you caught most of the stream, Juju. This is very important, Juju. As you know, Juju got what she got on? She got like a altar top with some, you know, what they call bike rider art, what they call the Bati rider shorts. But anyway, yeah, you got on that. Yeah, you know, you all got to show off, Juju. You have to show off. You're such a show off. Yeah. So yeah, and you got to catch replay for this, Juju. It's very important. I had some people up here, had some conversation. That what you gonna do now is determine. I'm more proponent that if you're not preparing your children just to get a free ride to college, you might have to start preparing them to either do the trade schools, or you might have to look into these military to start find other avenues so you can pay off the potential student loan debt that your children might or going to start accumulating, in my opinion. And I don't like to say this, but it's always be able to plan ahead times and be proactive than reactive. I know a lot of people in America that were affiliated either Democrats or even Republican side of things, even with this president, what he said he was going to lay claims of promises. There's no exact real promise that's going to get you out of this. Only thing that you are assured in this life is, life and, disease. All this other stuff, that's for the birds. And I do have high hopes for a lot of Americans to make the real conscious decision. You better think long and hard how you gonna get through this. The only solution is you're going to have to be very proactive. And I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it has to be said that you're going to have to figure this out. And you gotta really be attentive and read what are the possibilities. If no one's gonna give you a bailout, what are the next step? You're gonna have to probably do that. And the sooner you make those plans, the better. So I'm hoping this was helpful to all that watched today's stream. As you know, I'm not a proponent to really lay out breaking news. This is not really considered breaking news. This is something that was alerted for last few days up to the end of June. And now it's been official that, these are things that your president is going to take next steps to really facilitate, what he's going to do next to really relieve the debt of the normal citizen of accumulating a lot of debt from student loans. But don't be so confident that he's going to bail you out. He will not. I don't think he should, and he should not. So the next best move you do is to yes. So don't think that the United States government is going to bail you out. To reiterate what I was saying before, I don't expect it. So that's pretty much it. I'm not going to stay up long because having these so-called issues, it comes with the territory nowadays when you talk about these things. But I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna work it out. So stay tuned. All right, the links to follow me are the following. Follow me on Twitter at Chaos Reign 7. Chaos Reign 7. Also, follow me on Facebook, Eric Reign on Facebook. And please, I highly advise join my Rumble page as well. Links in the Rumble in the chat room in the description of this live stream as well. Also, join the Discord service of the Chaos Reign channel. And also, one other thing I forgot to say this. My apologies. Become a member of the Chaos Reign show. There's 2 tiers. I will put a short video of that so those that will know. And please join the channel. I would surely appreciate it. And join this Discord service as well as the Chaos Reign show. that's pretty much it for me. All right, guys. Like I said, jump on the comment section. Let me hear what your thoughts and opinions. Like the video on your way in, on your way out, and support and donate channel. You know, like always. Until next time. Hold on. Wait. Can't forget this. All right. Till next time. Legos. Ring.